Morning. My name is Carrie Brown, and welcome to Hang Out with Coach Kerry. You can find us here 9 a.m. Monday mornings, and you can also watch us on hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. So are you an entrepreneur that struggles with productivity? Are you an entrepreneur that finds yourself, waxing and waning in terms of the energy to work on certain things? Do you wish you had more time? Do you wish you had more focus and energy? Well, if that's you, then today this is your topic. I want to talk about productivity. I want to talk about the reasons that you might be struggling with overwhelm in your business and even in your personal life, because a lot of the strategies I talk about also apply to your personal life with this particular topic. And it isn't just a time management issue, because if you've been watching my episodes in the past, you know that I've dealt with time management before. So yes, it could be a time management piece in terms of how, prioritizing what to work on at any given time, all of that. But really today's episode is talking about those things that drain your energy. And I'm really excited about, because this is a very action-focused episode. It's all about getting you into action, getting you to be highly productive. So stay to the end of the episode, because we're going to be covering lots of pieces in this, and I want to make sure that you get everything that you need. So I'm honored today to have 3 of my Passport to Growth Academy members on my panel today, and I'm going to have them introduce themselves to you so you can get to know them, what they offer, and you might want to check out what they do as well. And they may have a product or a service that's of interest to you. So why don't we start with you, Bonnie? Bonnie, tell our audience who you are and what you do and how to find you.
Hi, Carrie. Well, I am Bonnie Mitchell. I own Mitchell Creative, and I work with businesses all over the world to visually communicate their services and expertise with people with whom they wish to do business. So I do this through creating a complement of marketing materials that they will use to conduct their business successfully. And I can be found at bonniemitchell.ca.
Great. Thanks, Bonnie. And we'll go to Kathy Scott. Kathy, tell everybody about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Kathy Scott. I have a business called Niche Travel, and what I actually do is take small groups of women all over the world on tours, wonderful 4-star boutique tours, and just a fabulous way of traveling with other women. So you can find me at nichetravel.ca or nichewomenstours.ca.
Great. Excellent. Thanks, Kathy. And last but very not least, Dr. Diana, tell us about you.
Thank you, Carrie. I'm Dr. Diana Galbraith. My company is First Get Healthy, and what I do is I work with women who have invested so much time into their energy and into their families that they found that their health, they've kind of left it by the wayside. And what I do is I really help them regain that through some very practical changes that they can make that really can fit into their lifestyle and help them get their energy back, lose that extra weight, whatever they're looking for from a health perspective. And you can find me at healthtalks.ca or at firstgethealthy.com.
Great, thank you. Well, I'm really honored to have all of you as my panelists today. And so let's get into our today's episode. And I would like to hear from my panelists a couple of questions. So, Bonnie, why don't we start off with you? With this topic of productivity and whatnot, what's your first question for me today?
Well, in my business, there's always jobs on the go. There are jobs that are out on proof, so there's always a flow of work. But I'm wondering if you can tell me, Carrie, why it is that when I have incomplete jobs, I just sometimes feel drained. I feel like it drains my energy.
Yes, that is so true. So the concept here is that things either give us energy or drain our energy. And this is true for everything in our life. The relationships we have, our perspective on things are either giving us energy or draining our energy. And when it comes to things that are incomplete, those fall on the drain our energy side. If there was a meter, you'd have give us energy or drain energy. And the incompletions fall along the drain our energy side. And what often happens is sometimes we're not even aware that that's what's going on. Those incompletions, they take our energy away. And even if we're not thinking about them, and this is the tricky part, is that visually, you know, if there's a file on the corner of your desk or a folder that's there that you know you need to be working on, and you aren't because you're busy doing something else, because for those of you who are solo entrepreneurs, you know that you're juggling lots of balls in the air, aren't you, at any given time? Would you all agree with me on that one?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So you're juggling all these balls in the air, and you're not even really aware of the fact that, well, consciously you might from time to time think, I really do need to be working on that. But it's sitting there, and on the subconscious level, it's taking your energy, and it's kind of like a bank account. And for each and every one of you, I know that you watch your bank account, and you know you either have money in the bank or no money in the bank, and then everything in the middle of that. Well, when it comes to energy, things that are draining your energy are taking energy out of that bank account. And you're not even necessarily aware of it. It's as if someone was quietly siphoning money out of your bank account. And so during the day, when it's really important that you have a high energy level and things are working really well, is that you are very conscious of the fact that you have a plan for those incompletions, because if not, they will drain your energy. So that's why, Bonnie, that's kind of the underneath, the underlying reason why when you have those incompletions, they drain your energy, because they're not giving you energy because they're incomplete. They're, I know I need to get around to it. Does that make sense to you?
That does. Thank you, Kerry. Yes.
Great. Good. Good. Kathy, how about for you? Question for me?
Well, so you're talking about this list of tolerations or incompletions. So how do I know which one to tackle first?
Very good question. And this is the big thing, is because often we're not even conscious about them. And these can be everything like the light bulb that needs to be replaced in your bathroom or your hallway. It's the fact that you have misplaced something and you don't know where it is. It's an energy drain. To the family leaves their vitamin bottles on the counter and that drains your energy. Those are all the personal end of things, and then all of the business ones that are there. And as Kathy correctly identified them, they're actually called tolerations. So, and the reason is that we are tolerating them. Now, in our culture, when we use the word tolerating something, we give it the meaning that it's a conscious decision. And I'm going to suggest to you that it's not a conscious decision at every single moment that you're tolerating them. At some point, yes, you did decide not to work on something and to leave it to the side, but thereafter it moves into that subconscious level where it becomes that energy drain. So, Kathy, how do you deal with that? Well, first of all, you know I'm a big fan of spiral notebooks. So, here's one for an example, a spiral notebook. This is the kind I would suggest. And what you want to do is you want to take this notebook and you want to open it up and grab your trusty pen and start walking around your office. And I want you to write every single thing down. It's the insurance form that hasn't been filed. It's the, in Bonnie's example, the incompletion of a particular graphic design project that she's working on. Kathy, for you, it could be following up on someone who showed some interest in one of your tours. But the urgent things in our business often get in the way of doing that, so you maybe haven't called that person as timely as you would like to. So you're going to write every single one of them down. And literally this goes for the piles of stuff you have on places. For example, I have a box of chocolates in my office right now that a woman bought for me as a fundraiser, and we've been making attempts to connect to get her the chocolates. The fact that that box of chocolates is on the side of my credenza, and I know I need to get them to her, is an energy drain for me, because it's an incompletion. It's a task that isn't completed. So what you're going to do is you're going to write all that down. So I'm going to suggest that you do that one section of your book for office, and then go to another section of the book and do one for your home life. And the home life often, you know, it's the garage, it's the potted plant that needs to be emptied out and taken to the back of the garden. It's all of those kinds of things. And you're going to make that entire list. And when I was first coached on this strategy, I was told to go for the gusto. Really go, really stretch. Try and find 100 things. It can be that drawer in your laundry room, for an example, that's kind of the catch-all for the bits and pieces and ends of things. So any of those kinds of things, organizing your sock drawer, emptying out your closet, because visually you've got all of the stuff that's a clutter that's there, and you know that most of the things you aren't wearing, so you know that the best thing to do is to empty them out, and you haven't done that action yet. So write them all down. Go for the gusto. Big job to do that? Not so much. Because in fact, once you get going on, it'll be really easy. If you have a desk with 3 doors either side, you could probably take top drawer, second drawer, bottom drawer on the right, top drawer, second drawer, bottom drawer on the bottom, and on the left, and you could make that list and break them down to small chunks. So, rather than saying my desk, tidy my desk, or even my desk surface, you could say the pile on the right, the pile on the left, the pile on the floor, whatever that it happens to be. So Kathy, do you think you're pretty clear on that strategy now of how to get those things kind of out of your head, even though they're not even conscious, most of them, and onto a piece of paper?
Yes, I think that sounds great.
Good, excellent, good. So Diana, what's your question for me?
Well, Kerry, I'm thinking of those times when you're away from your business for a while, whether you've been on holidays or you've been sick. And so when you come back usually to, it's kind of like, if you can visualize it, the laundry hasn't been done for a few weeks. You come back to these piles of things that need to be done, probably both in business and in home life. And how do you kind of keep your energy in the midst of what appears to be chaos and just a backlog of things that need to be done?
Really great question, Dr. Diana, and I think for the rest of our panelists, would that be an accurate situation for all of us at some times in our lives?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. Okay. So what you're going to do, Diana, is you're going to take out your book, and you're going to make that list. And you're going to make the personal one, and you're going to make the business one, and then the next step is, how do you actually prioritize them? So first step is you're going to make the list, get it out of your head, get out of that sort of visual stuff that's there, and collect it. So it's been gathered together. Now the next step is, there's a 3-step process that you're going to use that's going to help you get into action with those things. And really this is what it's about. It's about action. So you've got energy to take action on things. So there's a 3-step process. The first one is to get all the items down, which you've done. The second one is to now categorize them. So there's 3 categories. The first category are those things that you can do something about. In other words, it doesn't require anyone else. You have the funds, you have the ability, you have gas in your car, you have the phone number for the person, all of those kinds of things. So that's number 1. And you're going to call those A category items. So A category, tolerations. B category tolerations are around those things that either deal with other people, so it could be boundaries that need to be set, or it's requiring someone gets back in touch with you. So Bonnie, you alluded to projects that are outstanding for you. So for an example, if you have been waiting on a client that was going to get back to you on Monday, and now it's Wednesday and they've not gotten back to you, that's an energy drain. So that's dependent upon someone else. Now you can take an action around that, but it really has to deal with the other person. And that's about setting boundaries, setting expectations about what it looks like for your communication with that person. So that second category usually has to do with other people, and it's a dependency piece on there. So we can talk about that in a moment, but really it's about setting boundaries with people, setting out proper expectations. For those of you who have clients and customers, setting out what the relationship's going to look like, so they know ahead of time what your expectations in terms of communication and what they expect from you. It'll help you keep on track, and it's not draining your energy because you know you need to follow up with somebody and you haven't yet, so set out those expectations right up front. And then the third category, so those were your B categories. Items that deal with other people that right now are not just dependent on you. And then the C category are those things that right now there's no money or other person that's really going to change that situation. So this isn't a place where you sweep all of those things that you say, oh, I just don't have the energy to deal with it right now. I'm going to sweep it under the table or sweep it into category C. This would be, for an example, if you happen to live in an apartment or a condominium that's on a busy street. And every single day, the traffic noise is really irritating you and draining your energy. Well, unless you have the funds or the ability to be able to make a move. So if you're renting, yes, you could. But let's say you own it, and right now that's not possible for you to be able to make a move to another place. Then that moves into a category C. And what happens to category C things, once you put them there, the conversation or the mindset that you have around those things is, right now I'm going to accept and not give any energy, negative or any attention to, it just is. And it's going to park it there until I'm able to do something about it. And it either moves to a B category or it moves to an A category. The other thing can be the weather. You know, myself and my panelists, we're all Canadians, and we seem to have a fascination with weather because often in a lot of places in Canada we have pretty rough weather. So we live on the west coast where it can rain a fair bit in the wintertime. And if I put my energy around the fact that it's a rainy day, that's going to drain my energy. If I put my focus on that. And really, unless I'm prepared to move to a climate where there's sunshine all year round, or less rain, or unless I'm ready and willing and have the funds to be able to go on an extended vacation right now, really all I'm doing is allowing the rain to drain my energy. So I'm going to park it into C category. I'm going to acknowledge that that's where it is, and right now it's not something that I'm going to do something about, and then I can actually even look at what are my strategies to get around that. So do I need to buy a light that's going to give me some sunlight? Do I need to listen to some music? Do I need to light candles? Do I need to find a way to sort of shift my energy around the weather while it's parked in that C category? So A, B, and C, that's how you determine what you're going to be working on at any given time, because those things you can work on right now are what? A category things. Absolutely. Those are the things that you can do something about. Now, Diana, I know this is a long way of giving you some strategies around your question, but what if you make that list and that A category is pretty long? How do you decide on that? Well, the first step is you have to make sure that you've broken it down into doable bite-sized chunks. I kind of referenced the top of your desk for an example. Well, if you said top of your desk and there's piles on every four corner, that may be a little bigger project to tackle. But if you said my top right-hand corner, then you might be able to handle that. So make sure they're broken out into doable, smaller chunks. And then what I really like to do is I like to set the stage to be able to tackle them. So this could be, first thing tomorrow morning, or the end of today, I'm going to put on some great music. And great music can be dependent upon what the task is. If it's tidying and cleaning, it can be quite loud and energetic. If you want something where you need to concentrate and work on creating some content for a blog post or something like that, then there's music that you want that's going to be background and help you focus in that creative thinking process. You might like to light some candles. You might want to go create whatever that happens to be for you. Create that environment to do it, and give yourself some time. So say, okay, I'm going to give myself an hour right now to knock off as many of these things as I can. And then how do you decide which one? Well, look at the list and say, which is the one that I'm most motivated right now to clean up, to remove off this list. And most motivated is really going to be a personal thing. It can be something that, in fact, there's money on the table. If you picked up the phone and followed up with somebody, they buy whatever you have. So that's a pretty high motivation. It could be the fact that you're highly motivated because you've committed to your audience to put a new blog post out there, and you're 2 days late on that. So you're motivated because you're out of integrity. So a lot of working through these tolerations is getting you back into integrity with doing the things that you said you were going to do. Now, when it comes to household stuff, I often think Saturday mornings are great for this. And you get that list, you decide what's the first thing you're going to do, and you want to give yourself a time frame on it, because the day can go as you're wandering through a particular task. So you want to give yourself a time frame. And here's what I'm going to suggest to you. So if it's Saturday morning, you might say 9 to 11, you've identified those things, you're going to turn on some great music, you're going to open your windows, and you're going to motor through those things and get them done. And every time you're completed one task, you know I'm a huge fan of the yellow highlighter. And what you're going to do is you're going to take that yellow highlighter and you're going to cross it off your list, because I want you physically to notice that you're doing that. And I also want you to pay attention, really close attention, to your energy, because I know, I can guarantee you that every time you knock off one of those things on your toleration list, your energy level is going to increase. Knock off another one and it's going to increase. What's going to happen is you are going to become much more highly motivated to knock those things off your list. So that will become a habit for you that you'll constantly be realizing, okay, these piles are starting to show up. I need to take an hour and clean this up, because I know it's going to drain my energy. And for the good of my energy and my business and my family life and relationships, I need to tackle those and get them done. So if you ever find yourself, like Diana, you said, coming back from vacation and it feels like there's all the piles that are there, this is the first place to start, and go back to it. You'll go, oh yes, I remember. This is what it is that gets me back on track. So I'd love some feedback on some pearls you're taking away from what we've talked about today from my panelists. And if you also have a question in addition to your pearl, fire away. We've got a few minutes left in this episode. So Diana, why don't we start with you? We're going to start from back to front.
You know what really stood out actually was just a small thing, but the idea of music, adding music to our tasks, and just I mean, I love the whole idea of categorize everything, getting it out of your mind and getting it into a book. But when you actually sit down to do it, creating that environment to be more productive, I like that. And so I'm going to try adding music this week, plus adding the book, of course. But once I get stuff down in the book and when I get down to doing them, I'm going to try adding that music piece as well.
Great. Excellent. Thank you. Good. Kathy, how about for you?
Well, I think for me, what I really am taking away from it is that I am a checklist person. I do get very motivated when I can see those things getting checked off. But I think what I fail to do is put it down on paper, and it's a good reminder for me. I have checklists in my head, but when I have them on paper, and what you're saying about doing it in a book, it's even better because you've got that one spot everything's in. I think I need to do that. That's great.
Yeah, I love just walking around with the book and writing things down and making that list so it's not on a piece of paper. The piece of paper gets buried under something else. And the other thing too, Kathy, is that it's a good reminder for you that you can see all the things you have accomplished. So it's a really good reminder that you're checking things off. Now this is different than your action list that you have every day, of course. These are the things that are, hanging around and hanging around and hanging around and that are draining your energy. So great noticing of that. Excellent. Bonnie, how about for you?
Well, some of my thoughts do mirror Kathy's. Because of the job I do, because I'm a graphic designer, so much of my business is done on the computer. So when I make a list, that's usually where it ends up. So what I'm really taking away from this is to use a book and have a physical piece there for me that will remind me to look at it every day or every few days and complete those tasks. So I think that'll work really well for me.
Great. Good. Well, just to kind of wrap up this episode, what I want to kind of recap is to remind you that if you find yourself that your energy is lacking at any given time, a really good clue is to ask yourself, okay, are there a bunch of things around me here that I am tolerating, what we call tolerations? and go exploring, go searching, and realize, oh, gee, you know, I have that dress in the closet that needs altering that I haven't been able to wear this summer because it needs altering, or that light bulb that's out, or that idea that you've had on paper that you said this month I'm going to implement and it still hasn't happened. The pieces that you've started and haven't finished. All of those kinds of things. Gather them up, get them on that piece of paper, in your notebook, and then have a plan about when you're going to tackle them. You know, some people even set aside every Saturday morning. Some people, from a business perspective, as you know, I love Friday afternoons as kind of a review of the past week. That's one of the times that I think it's really opportune for you to be able to look back and say, you know, did I accomplish what I wanted to accomplish? Did I get the things done that I wanted to get done? What's outstanding? And get any of those open loops captured. Because if not, over time, as they continue to build and build and build and build, your energy level will continue to drop and drop and drop and drop. And this is all about managing your overwhelm, being highly productive, and getting the important things done. So tune in Monday mornings, 9 a.m. to Hang Out with Coach Kerry, or you can watch me at hangoutwithcoachkerry.com. Lots of episodes that are there. There's lots of tools and tips for you to be able to have. And upcoming episodes, I will be interviewing some experts in certain industries as well that I know will be important for you to have that information as a small business owner or a solo entrepreneur. So come hang out with me, spend your time. I hope it's time that you find is valuable. Send me some feedback and tell me what you'd like me to share so you can get some coaching from me. So have a highly productive week. Clear up those tolerations, and we'll talk to you next Monday. Thanks again to my panelists. I really appreciate you being on the call today, and talk to you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I know.
Bye-bye.